What is up, y'all, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'll be showing you the best tips and strategies to improve your shotgun aim dramatically in Fortnite. If you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new and want to see more content just like this. And with that said, let's hop straight into it. So hopping right into the first tip I have for this video is a huge one, and that's doing realistic aim drills. If you watch pretty much any pro player's gameplay this season, you're going to notice that it's very rare for them to just straight up jump into an opponent's box unless they've got no other choice, or if the opponent is very low, say 100 HP or below. That's because for the most part, pros can rely on their piece control to get the upper hand in a fight and then use their aim to simply finish off their opponent from a box away. So with that said, one of my biggest tips is to stop focusing so much on the in-box training and instead start practicing more of the realistic aim training scenarios and work on your aim that way, since it'll carry over much more to your real gameplay than something like an aim duel or tile frenzy and Kovacs. Not to say that those methods aren't good, because I still obviously recommend those a ton, but this is another alternative method that really works insanely well. Now you're probably thinking, how can you actually start implementing this practice alongside your other aim training? And honestly, it's really simple. I personally recommend doing primarily edit courses and scenario maps that involve targets, since you're able to start implementing aim into your actual techniques, just like I'm talking about here. If you've watched my channel for a while, then you probably know by now that one of my favorite maps for this purpose is Raiders Box Fight Practice Map V3, which has a ton of incredible scenarios for this exact same purpose. A few of my favorites include the side jump shots, which basically let you practice taking shots mid-air, the low ground edits, which help you counter someone pushing you from above, and then the edit and shotgun drills, which are essentially edit courses with built-in targets that allow you to practice a bit of piece control, a bit of editing, and a bit of aim pretty much at the same time. Of course, there's also plenty of other scenarios in the map, but those are just the ones I typically use for this purpose, as I feel like they carry over most to your actual in-game aim. With that said, if you want to hop into Raiders map, the code is going to be up on screen right now for you. With that said, moving on from that tip, the next one is another really useful map, once again by Raider464, and it's called Raiders 1v1 Aim Trainer. If you don't know already, Raider came out with this map a few weeks ago, and it pretty much contains everything you're going to need when it comes to training your close range aim, aside from the actual editing and piece control drills, which is the map already covers. Hopping into this map, there's a ton to cover, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to go over the main factors of it. So obviously, with it being a 1v1 aim map, you're going to need to have a partner for it, and basically you'll have a ton of scenarios to choose from. If you're looking solely at shotgun aim, you're mainly going to want to use the shotgun/flick training and the classic aim duel scenarios, as those have the most carryover to actual shotgun fights. Since there's a ton of those scenarios, I won't go over every single one of them individually, but you can see a few of them in the background gameplay right now. The main reason I recommend this map is because it has so many scenarios of so many different types, and it really gives you an incredible aim training experience while also being fairly realistic in the sense that you're going against another real player. And if you're not only focused on shotgun aim, but all types of aim, then it's definitely worth mentioning that the map has a ton of SMG and AR scenarios, as well as these incredible glider sections, which is super useful in this season since launch pads have been added back. As you can see in the background gameplay, it basically contains one player gliding, the other one shooting, and then it switches back and forth. With all that said, this is definitely one of my top recommended maps to aim train on, and I strongly recommend you grab a friend and give the map a shot. The code is going to be up on screen right now if you're interested in checking it out. With that said, everyone, now that we've gone over some of my favorite up-to-date practice methods for your shotgun aim, this next part of the video is going to consist of some tips that you can actually utilize in your real games to hit more shots and generally improve with shotguns in fights. And the first of these tips is going to be to focus on pre-firing. In this season, most players you run into are going to be pretty decent, but you've got to keep in mind that they're also pretty easy to trick. If you watch any pro play the game, you're going to notice that they pretty much toy around with other players, tricking them into making an edit and then punishing them for it. Since almost everyone this season is mechanically skilled and knows how to box fight, one of the major things separating pros from regular players is the ability to confuse their opponent and hit nasty pre-fire shots. Pre-fires come in a lot of different forms. Sometimes you're going to trick your opponent into making an edit with something like a pickaxe swing and then punish them when they go for it, or sometimes you can even time a shot for the second they break your wall and get a huge shot off. Either way, I really recommend that you guys hop into some box fights and practice your pre-fires, as they're such an amazing way to win more fights with shotguns. As well as that, let me know down in the comments if you'd like me to make another video going more in depth on pre-firing, as I'm more than happy to do that if you guys want it. Moving on from that though, my next gameplay tip relating to shotgun aim is to make sure you're using your ADS whenever you're shooting from a distance. Pretty much anytime you're not directly in your opponent's face, it's generally a good idea to aim down sights when you're going for a shot, as it makes your reticle smaller and thus makes your shots more accurate, dealing much more damage. Even if you're one box away from your opponent and they're building up or something like that, taking a quarter second to aim down your sights before firing your shotgun can literally turn a 40 damage shot into a 100 damage shot or more. A lot of players really underestimate the power of ADS, especially if your opponent is more than a meter or two away from you, so be sure to give this a shot in your future fights and see how it goes. From there, the last gameplay tip that I want to talk about, and one that I talk about all the time, is trigger patience. When most of us get into a box fight and see the other player, we're pretty much instantly going to flick to them and go straight for the shot, even if it's a suboptimal shot that won't deal much damage. When you're in a box fight, or even a build fight for that matter, especially if it's a 50-50, having the patience to quickly line up a shot and make sure that you're hitting for maximum damage is an amazing way to win way more fights and become a better overall aimer. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it should be to stay patient when you're going for a shot, especially in a 50-50 situation, as that one shot can essentially dictate whether you live to see another fight or get sent back to the lobby. And just for clarification, I'm not telling you to wait 2 seconds before you shoot. We're basically talking about a few milliseconds here, basically giving yourself the extra time to hit a huge shot on your opponent. I'd like to mention as well that if you're looking to practice trigger patience, one of my favorite ways to do this is using Panvil's headshot only FFA map, which essentially makes it so you have to headshot someone in order to eliminate them. You can easily hop into this map, queue into matchmaking, and spend a few minutes practicing this strategy. It's really easy to practice and such a useful way to do it. When you get into an engagement, take that extra moment to line up your shot and go straight for the 200. In a real fight, you're much more likely to win if you take an extra quarter second to hit a 200 damage shot, as opposed to hitting for 30 damage and having to desperately pull out your SMG and pray that you get the kill first. This map is a great way to practice your trigger patience, and this is definitely one of the top skills that you should learn if you're looking to become a beast when it comes to shotgun aim. With that said, if you want to try out Panvil's map, the code is going to be up on screen right now. Simply hop into the map, walk over to the little matchmaking image here, and then it'll load you into a lobby with 15 other players so you can get right to it. But with that said, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like on it and consider subscribing as well if you're new and want to see more content just like this in the future. As well as that, if you'd like to help out your boy a bit extra, then consider using code Teckoh in the item shop. It's completely free and it really does help me out a lot. But with that said, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.